Hello, YouTube. I'm doing a video because I felt the need to just get out some of my thoughts. To get right to the point and make a long story short, I was listening to a relatively pretty good talk show, and the women on the panel of the talk show were talking about how they are with other couples. So some of the women on the panel are married, some of them are dating, and I think all four of them are, two of them are married, and the other two, I think, are dating or in relationships. And so they have, these panel discussions about, how they interact within their relationships, what they deem is cute or not cute or whatever. And I just want to get to the point of, I'm a little bit, I'm in my midlife. And so I'm going back listening to these women and reflecting on when I actually was married, which I got married relatively young in my teens. And so I was listening to them talk about how that they think that showing public displays of affection was kind of a little bit too PDA. And I was laughing because I was going back and reflecting on my relationship and how fucked up it really was. And I realized and came to the conclusion that I never really experienced some of the things that the women were talking about. I never really experienced it. And part of it was, I started to reflect back on the relationship between me and my then husband at the time. And I came to the conclusion and realized, and let me say this, I became sad because I realized at that point that I never had that chemistry with him. And part of the reason why the relationship had dissipated was because the chemistry wasn't there. So when I was listening to the ladies talk about how, their husbands or significant others was kind of like, you know, petting them or showing them public displays of affection, I remembered the public displays of affection between me and he and I at the time were slim to none because it hit me at that point that he didn't feel that way about me. So because he didn't feel that way about me, that's why I didn't receive those public displays of affection. And realization and coming to the point of full understanding and acceptance is a bitch. And so I will never feel, understanding what I know now, I will never feel sorrowful for the infidelities that I had in their marriage. Because I really believe subconsciously I knew that. I knew he did not feel that way about me. And so when I was seeking other relationships or when other men would come on to me in the relationship, I knew at the most basic level that's what he really felt about me. He didn't feel that way about me. And on top of that, he drew first blood anyway, being with other women and all those sorts of things, which, that was the first cause, I have to say, and what kind of started me looking outward outside the marriage to begin with. I don't think I would have really even been aware unless he actually was cheating on me, that he didn't feel that way about me. So, now I realize, oh my goodness, that was the real reason why I was always seeking or always ended up making how it began that I made the choice to step outside the marriage and start being with other men that approached me at the time was because those men those men could, they could tell, they smelt it on me, and they could tell, and they felt that. I know they kind of sensed that on me. And so it was like, if a man was to come to me and, I had an affair for 3 years within my 10-year marriage. And people from the outside looking in would be like, oh my God, yeah, he did cheat on her, but oh my God, she's the worst person in the world. She cheated on him and she did this, this, and that. But what a lot of people of them don't know or understand or probably accept, which I really don't give a shit, but probably don't accept is, coming from what I believed our relationship was about, and on the strength of, I really did love him. I just didn't feel his actions didn't show that with me. It was really interesting how it was so easy for a man to recognize that in me and pick me up. And I went along with it because that stability or foundation between he and I and our relationship was just not there. So, I mourned that. I really realized the reason why I was so bitter and why I was so angry and why I feel the way that I still do sometimes is because I mourn that. I know factually he did not feel that way about me, and he did not show it. On top of that, his actions showed that he didn't feel that way about me. So when someone doesn't, it just became easier. And so the affair that I had with the gentleman for 3 years, it was very hot and heavy for a very long time, especially the first 2 years that we were intimate with each other. It was extremely hot and heavy. And every time we saw each other, we would have a conversation. He knew, he expressed to me, and he actually listened to me how I really felt as a woman. Now, whether it was genuine or it wasn't or not, which I know it was, it was just it was a different vibe and a different understanding between he and I. So I relished in that because I realized after listening to these ladies talk about their relationships, I felt wanted. I felt wanted. He was a man that made me feel wanted. He made me feel feminine. He made me feel, he chased me. I felt wanted and loved and sought after. And I did not receive that. And I was not getting that from the man that I loved and that I married. So that's all I wanted to say. I felt like I needed to say that, because I'm kind of in the process of chronicling all of my thoughts and feelings that I've had over the years. And I really need to say that and relay that to the audience and people that I'm gonna stick this in with the other videos so people can probably maybe understand kind of where I'm coming from. If they don't know, I really don't give a shit. But this is just another video and another, I guess you could say rant or session of me expressing how I really feel and how I really felt at the time. And looking back now, it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. And, I've healed from that relationship, of course, and I no longer need to act out, so to speak. And so I'm just coming to the conclusion, oh my goodness, I really have evolved, so to speak, and have an understanding of what actually was happening to me at that time. I was so young when I got married. So, I got young, and, I thought if he loved me, of course, automatically that would come back to me, and that's not the case. And so, Now I know who I am. I know what to look for in a mate and how to, approach the type of relationship that I want. You know, I want to feel wanted, and I don't think any woman would denies that she wants to feel wanted. And so, no, I didn't feel wanted in that relationship. I realize now I never felt wanted. I never felt chased, and it was always I became a mother very early, and I realize now that that was what was missing. That was the heat and the passion that was missing between he and I. He did not feel that for me. And I can actually say that and be okay with that. He just didn't. And that's okay. And so that's what, I know that I need to have that in a relationship, like most women do. So that's all I wanted to say. And to get that off of my chest. And I guess I will see you the next time I do a video. Have a good one.